Hey, it's Mike from the Life in Attleboro podcast. Our first ever sponsor, Confidence Fitness, has an unbelievable offer for you. 3 free workouts with absolutely nothing to lose. You'll also get an in-body scan to measure your current body composition, and you'll get their brand new meal prep checklist. All of those things completely free. You cannot beat it. All you have to do is go to lifeinattleboro.com, and you'll see the link right there on our homepage. I'll also include the link in the show notes of this episode. Confidence Fitness is located at 453 South Main Street. Confidence Fitness. Strength for life, strength for sports. And now, on to the show. You are listening to the Life in Attleboro podcast, where we interview the city's most interesting people who are making a positive difference in our community. Hey everyone, I'm the host of the Life in Attleboro podcast, Mike Sullivan. Did you know there's an effort to bring disc golf to Highland Park in Attleboro? Turns out the disc golf community is a huge one with goals of having fun, being outside to soak up the fresh air, and to help the community and people find a new passion. Meet the man on a mission to make this all happen in episode 39 of the Life in Attleboro podcast. Highland Park is a very unique property here in Attleboro that has hosted a lot of events over the years, even Hollywood actors. But now there's an effort to bring disc golf to Highland Park. Joining me now is Spencer Linz, and he is leading that charge to make it happen. Spencer, thank you so much for being a guest on the Life in Attleboro podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It is my honor, sir. So first question is an easy one. What is disc golf?
So disc golf, just like its sort of originator, the traditional ball golf or golf, is played just the same, except with discs. So just as you would have a club or a putter or a driver or what have you for golf, you have putters, drivers, fairways, mid-ranges, all type discs for disc golf. And so you start from a teeing area, and you basically a stroke is equal to a throw. So you're throwing the frisbees, and you're trying to land your frisbee in a metal basket in as few throws as possible. And each throw is a stroke, just as each hit of a ball in golf is a stroke. And so you're playing against a par, so each hole has an expected amount of throws it should take you to get it to the bottom of the basket. And if you get it in less throws, that's a good thing. If you get it in more throws, it's a bad thing. And yeah, same concept as golf.
So I learned a few things there. I didn't know there were different size discs for off the tee and mid-range and putting. That's interesting. Are they different weights, I'm assuming, or no? Or just different sizes?
They're usually pretty typically between 170 and 180 grams.
Okay.
That's the typical disc weight. But for juniors or for women divisions, they often make lighter discs. Sometimes they make catch discs, hybrid catch discs that are lighter weights, but it usually falls within that 170 to 180 gram range.
Okay. And then one follow-up question for you, Spencer. Say a typical par 4 on a golf course. What would that equal in disc golf? What's the par for a par 4?
For a par 4, you're looking at anywhere between, if it's a technical wooded par 4, 400 to 500 feet is typical. If it's an open par 4, like the ones we're designing at Highland Park, 500 to 600 feet.
Wow.
For a par 3, you cut that in half. So a long par 3 would be about 400 feet. A typical par 3 is somewhere between the 250 and 300 foot range.
Excellent. Thank you for providing that context for me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So you are leading the charge to allow disc golf to be played at Highland Park, obviously an old golf course, so that makes sense. How big is the disc golf community here in Attleboro?
Well, in southern Massachusetts, or I'll say southern New England in general, you have some really popular courses in the area. Daisy Fields in Franklin, Mass., Borderland State Park in Easton, Mass., Hawkins Woods in Plainville. All those courses get between 11,000 rounds and 7,000 to 8,000 rounds a year.
Wow.
And a round may be 2 to 3 people on average. You may be looking at 20 to 30,000 people a year attending a disc golf round or participating in disc golf on a given property in southern New England.
Wow. So here at Highland Park, would it be leagues, tournaments, open play? What would that look like?
Yeah, so the intention for Highland Park is to be free, open play to the public at any time that the park is open. The funding mechanism for the ongoing maintenance of the course will be the leagues and formal PDGA sanctioned tournaments and clinics. Some of the common league formats typically include like a singles. They have what's called tag matches, where the one tag is the coveted tag. And so if you buy a tag, you pool all your tags at the beginning of the round, you play the round, and then whoever had the best round gets the lowest number tag, and then you hand out higher number tags as people did worse.
Okay.
So that's a really common way to fund. You make people buy, you have people buy tags at the beginning of the year, and then you exchange tags over the course of the year. It's an ongoing week by week, month by month way to track your progress sometimes. And then you have doubles. Random doubles is a really common thing on Sundays, where you just get a random partner, and it's like skill-based. You have an A pool of the best players, a B pool of the below-average players, and you pair them up, and they all go against each other. There's a million different formats.
Yeah.
The PDGA is the sanctioning body of disc golf, and they hold sanctioned tournaments. One of the big tournaments every year is called Daceyland, where Borderland and Dacey have this massive, this year it got upgraded to an A tier, have this massive, where you're going back and forth between the courses. And so the hope is to get enshrined into some large tournament like that, or hold a unique tournament like that at Highland Park someday.
That's amazing. And is the disc golf community as competitive as the movie Dodgeball with Ben Stiller's team against Vince Vaughn? Are we all family here? Or are we going at it?
Just like in any sport, you get a wide array of commitment to the game.
Sure.
I tend to take my game too seriously and may fall into that category, but I would say the average disc golfer is out there to watch plastic circles fly through the air. And I would say that's the average sentiment is I'm just happy to be outdoors.
Absolutely. That's a good, healthy thing. So no problem. And it's okay to take it seriously, Spencer. It's good.
It's good to be passionate about things.
Amen.
We need a little bit more passion in this world.
And that you are. So that leads me perfectly to my next question, Spencer. You can't just start playing. There is a process to get this approved by the city. So what is happening in the background right now? What do your efforts look like?
Yeah, so I'll give you the totality of my efforts from last year to where we sit now and what I'm doing currently. Last year, I got appointed to the City of Attleboro's Conservation Commission. As part of that process, it got exposed to me that Highland Park was a property that the city had recently acquired in the past few years that we've not really done anything with other than have a beautiful cross-country course on.
Yeah.
And so I basically got the idea as a civil engineer to consider developing this into a disc golf course, which is an opportunity that had it never occurred to me as a civil engineer. So I basically went in front of the Parks Commission, said, hey, I'd love to do this. They said, hey, do a proof of concept. What I ended up doing was back in October, I held a temporary disc golf event where I put up pop-up baskets provided by Disc Golf 978, which is a local retail store. So I purchased basically 18 baskets that I rolled into place, had Harry Chase, who is the temp course designer and the current course designer, design a course for us. He's about to go on tour, actually, for the Pro Tour.
Oh, cool.
Very renowned local disc golfer, very good guy. And he designed a beautiful pop-up temporary course for us. We had a wonderful 3-day weekend where hundreds of people came out to play disc golf in a temporary sense. We held leagues, tournaments, clinics, all of the above. I collected a ton of data from that. Basically, the economic output from that weekend was on the scale of a couple $1,000 between players buying in, players donating, players. I collected receipts for a raffle, and the receipts were basically your entry into the raffle. And what it did was showed me where are disc golfers spending their money, how much money are they spending when they're here. I collected all that data and then presented to the Parks Commission and said, and this was back in January, I said, hey, did this temp course. Here's a concept for what the permanent course could look like. Here's what I believe the economic benefit's going to be. Here's what I believe the playership is going to be. And so the Parks Commission took all my data in, reviewed all my documents that I did. I did a whole 20-page narrative that I wrote for them and approved disc golf as an activity in Highland Park.
That's
right?
awesome.
And the conditions of that approval were provide a final design plan, provide an operation and maintenance plan, get an MOU agreement with the city, and get through the CONCOM with an RDA. So a lot of that stuff I'm working on now,
Okay.
and that's where we lead into the present day. I've got an MOU drafted that I've worked out with the Superintendent of Parks and Forestry, Derek Corsi. That's going into, I assume, the city solicitor's hands to review. I have now created a nonprofit entity to represent the disc golf course and represent that relationship with the city.
Nice.
I've just finalized last week the permanent design with Harry, so we feel very good about the final design now. And I've also worked out a lot of the material procurement side of things. So baskets, tee pads, signs, you name it, I'm working out all of that stuff. And then the absolute biggest thing I'm working on right now is fundraising. Okay. So we are selling tee sign sponsorships. Yep. So $500 for 5 years. I expect 10,000 rounds a year, probably about 20,000 total disc golfers a year to attend Highland Park. So if you think about it from an advertising sense, Google charges you $1 an advertisement online, and I'm charging you $500 for 5 years for 20,000. If you multiply eyeballs by 2, 40,000 eyeballs a year. Right. And so if you boil it down, it's less than a cent per impression at Highland Park. And that's for local businesses. Right. For local businesses, this disc golfer might be down the road disc golfing at Highland Park. Maybe I just got done my round, I'm hungry, or I'm going into my round, I'm looking for a coffee, right, or I'm looking for dinner with friends, or I'm grabbing a beer with friends, or I need to go shopping for some shoes for disc golf. Disc golf is a consumer-based sport. We buy discs, we buy bags, we buy gear, we buy all these things to support the sport. And it has a huge inherent economic benefit to a city to introduce a free-to-play activity like this, not to mention the mental health benefit of having a third place. You had the owner of the Burgundian on a few episodes ago, and he mentioned the same thing. He likes to provide a third place, and that's exactly what Highland Park is going to be if you put something like disc golf in it. That's really where I stand now. There are some other things that I'm doing in the background. I started a putting league to introduce the disc golfing community into the community of Attleboro, get people bought into Attleboro as a place for disc golf, and get the roots of a disc golf community started here in Attleboro. That's one of the biggest things I'm really focused on, because that's the way this whole thing works, is if you get people to buy in.
Yeah. Congratulations, Spencer. You have left no stone unturned, sir. I'm looking forward to all of this.
Thank you.
No problem. So for someone like myself who supports the idea and wants to see this happen, make it happen, etc., what can the people of Attleboro do to help?
The biggest thing is to go straight to our Facebook page. That's where I'm posting updates. I'm posting, hey, putting league is going on. I'm posting links to the sponsorship page. That's the first place I would go. Okay. And so the Facebook group is called Jewelry City Disc Golf Course. And that's so. That was my sort of initial name I started out with. I said, Jewelry City, that would be a good starting name. Sure. And in my mind, I was like, I'm sure this will stick from concept to final product. Yeah. And I'm glad it did, because we have I didn't realize, but we have the Jewelry City Steampunk Festival, which is very aptly named. And it just really is quintessential to Attleboro, right? The jewelry industry. Yes. And I thought it was a good way to highlight that. I really like the homage to Attleboro's past and how it got us here. And that's where you can find all the information, is on our Facebook page. Okay. If you would like to be a T-Sign sponsor, we're already about half sold out of T-Sign sponsorships. Congrats. We're doing really well there. Nice. If you're a business who wants ad impressions a couple miles away at Highland Park, please reach out to me or go on to discgolfscene.com and look for the Jewelry City Disc Golf Course fundraiser. Okay. You can just search that into the search bar and you'll find it, or you can reach out to me. My contact information is everywhere. But that's the best way to support. And if you're a citizen of Attleboro and you're like, I want to be a part of this too, it's the same thing. You can reach out to me. We're selling names on baskets. We're selling basically the Founders Club, which gets you exclusive access to the course store. We've done a course branding and stuff. If you're a citizen, reach out to me. Get on the Facebook group. That is all the locations where we can get you hooked up if you want to be a part of this.
Perfect. Sounds easy enough. And I will include those links, Spencer, in the show notes of this episode for sure.
Thank you.
Of course. So Spencer, if everything does go smoothly, when could we expect to see disc golf being played at Highland Park?
So this is the funny thing, because this whole process has been uncomfortably easy. And what I mean by that is I have not faced the pushback either from the general public that I expected, or from the city that I expected, or from government bodies, whoever. The general consensus that I've always heard is, especially in the temp course, I asked dog walkers, I asked hikers, I asked people passing by, anybody who wasn't a disc golfer, what do you think about all this craziness going on? Discs flying everywhere. What do you think? The general consensus was, thank God they're doing something here. I'm happy to see something happen at Highland Park. And the Parks and Forestry Department has been all about this. Derek Corsi has been amazing. He is so ready to help install this thing. I am, as a civil engineer, very prepared to get through the permitting process, despite having to recuse myself from the Concom side of things. If all else goes well, and we meet our funding goals, which we are very close to meeting our funding goals already.
Nice.
If all goes well, I expect the middle of the summer to be when a playable course happens. The middle of July is the conversation that I had with Derek. My true expectation is something like November 1st, and that's only because if September rolls around and cross-country season starts up, we need to give the cross-country program the space to be able to operate. You know, they were here before us, and I'm doing everything in my power to respect that.
Nice.
And so if cross-country season comes around, it'll likely push things back a little bit to November. Okay. So we either get done kind of midsummer, or it goes back into sort of mid-fall.
Okay. And what months does the disc golf season play in then? This isn't a year-round thing, but...
It is a year-round thing.
It is.
If you're crazy enough.
Goodness.
I am crazy enough. I will be out there in the snow. I will attach ribbons to my discs in case they get buried.
Love it.
People go out at night. There's a huge night community around Hawkins Woods disc golf course specifically. I know some of the folks who run that. They'll run night disc golf all year. They have these glow-in-the-dark discs.
That's
so
cool.
Typically, post-winter, when everybody is ready to get outdoors, is when disc golf really pops off. Your May to June is probably peak season. Obviously, the summer is a wonderful time to be outdoors. And then October's awesome.
Yeah.
There won't be any friction, I'll say, with cross country, because that's their space to operate, right?
Yeah.
So if they have a permit to run a cross country event, we're not going to be running disc golf that day.
Right.
And this is something that I've worked out with Derek. This is something that I will continue to work out with the whole Parks Commission to make sure we get it right. October will be great if there's space in October to operate.
Yeah.
But typically early summer, late spring is the time of the year to be doing this.
Awesome. So what goals would you have in the near future? You touched on it a little bit. What kind of events and how big could this become for the city as a whole?
So I'm already in talks right now with some community members, and potentially some community members in Attleboro, and then some community members in the disc golf community, to potentially do a Highland Park cleanup, especially of the parking lot area. Yeah. This is a dream of mine. This is not something I've particularly put a lot of effort into yet, but I don't put my mind to things that I don't expect to do. Right. I expect to do a cleanup and then a fun little ace race kind of event before the course goes in, to show the city of Attleboro the community that we're inviting in. And as soon as the course is actually up and playable, my intention is to hold a fundraiser for the Capron Park Zoo. I want to show the community the positive benefits of having a disc golf course at Highland Park. Disc golf is something that will absolutely have a positive return on investment over time. But to be fair, the return on investment is functionally zero, because I'm not getting any City of Attleboro taxpayer money.
Sure.
This is all privately funded and sponsored by local businesses. I basically want to show the city, like, hey, disc golf's going to be a force for good here.
Spencer, I can feel this, your passion for this. You just said you're not collecting any city tax dollars. Why do you want to make this come to life?
To be honest, this all started because I wanted a course in my backyard.
Okay.
But a much larger endeavor.
Yeah.
I love the disc golf community. It is something that absolutely has made my life not just better, but something that has given me the full purpose in life that I need to just go on. You know what I mean? COVID was a huge thing for disc golf, not just because it got people outdoors, but because it got a lot of people out of the rut that they were in. There's so much that the love for something like the flight of a disc can do for your life. in order to make you passionate about something. And that's what this community brings, is a community of very passionate people, very passionate volunteers who just want to see this happen and want to see the property that it happens on grow and thrive and be just a wonderful place that is welcoming to everyone. There are a lot of niche communities within the disc golf community that promote things like participation of women, the education of youth, the participation of youth in sports, the participation of minorities in the sport. There's a ton of communities out there like that because that's the kind of community that disc golfers are.
Right. Good stuff. Spencer, is there anything else that you would like the people of Attleboro to know about your efforts and about the future of disc golf at Highland Park?
Yeah, I would say expect to see some beginner clinics if it's something that you're interested in maybe trying. If you're interested in trying disc golf, I highly recommend just going out and online. It's $20 or $30. You can get a starter pack.
Nice.
Get a starter pack, head out to Borderland State Park, head out to Dacey Fields, head out to Hawkins Woods, head out to World War I Park in North Attleboro.
Yeah.
Try out the sport. See if you like it. See if you get addicted to the flight of a disc. And if you do, come on down to Highland Park when this thing gets put in. You're going to love it.
Said Spencer. Spencer Linz, a man on a mission to bring disc golf to Highland Park. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Life in Attleboro podcast.
Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate you having me on.
My pleasure, sir. What a cool conversation with Spencer, and you can really feel how passionate he is about bringing disc golf to Highland Park. If you'd like to make a donation or learn more about the effort, you can find the link in the show notes of this episode. Hey, I want to tell you about our new sponsor, Hoban Accounting Services. If you're a small business owner, you know how much of a hassle it can be to keep track of every penny earned and every penny spent. But thankfully, Hoban Accounting Services is on a mission to heal your headaches and fizzle your frustration when it comes to crunching those pesky numbers. Hoban Accounting Services has helped local businesses for more than 7 years. That's when Nicole Hoban, a proud mother of twin girls, launched her business. She's a QuickBooks Pro Advisor with tons of awards to her name. If you mention the Life in Attleboro podcast, you'll get 10% off for your first 6 months. If you'd like to support a small business owner in our city, just tap the link in the show notes of this episode and Nicole will be in touch. Hoban Accounting Services. A great bookkeeper should be an asset, not an expense. Have you signed up for the Life in Attleboro email list? If not, you're missing out on exclusive benefits, including early access to every new podcast episode, special savings at Attleboro restaurants and businesses, behind-the-scenes video and insight, and you'll stay in the know about cool events in our great city. Just go to lifeinattleboro.com, and you'll see the sign-up display right there on the homepage. You'll also see the sign-up button at the top of our Life in Attleboro Facebook page. And if you know someone who would make a great guest on our podcast, please shoot us an email at lifeinattleboro@gmail.com. Life in Attleboro is a great thing. Support our community, promote positivity, and make a stranger smile. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Life in Attleboro podcast.